Good morning and welcome to Wake Up Well this Monday morning. This week we're looking at generosity. I'm going to have a look at a passage from Paul to the Corinthian church in 2 Corinthians. We're on chapter 9, starting at verse 6. It says, "Remember this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. Whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Each of you should give what you've decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all you need, that you will abound in every good work. As it is written, they have freely scattered their gifts to the poor, their righteousness endures forever. Now, he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will also supply and increase your store of seed and will enlarge your harvest and your righteousness. You will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion. And through us, your generosity will result in thanksgiving to God." Love here that Paul is commanding the church that giving is such a blessing. But we get to be blessed to give, and he's reminding them just how God is our supplier and that it's a heart attitude. It's not just about how much we give, but it's about our attitude in how we give. Now, Paul was writing this in a context to a church that he's already commanded for how well they serve and how well they supply their needs. And they've offered this gift, which Paul is kind of gathering to take to the mission of where it is needed. And so for us, it's really teaching us about the heart posture. I love in this, it actually says the gift that you have decided to give. And so it's not saying you have to give away everything. It's saying, what have you already decided to give in your heart? And to give that generously and happily, not begrudgingly or out of a sense of obligation. You know, he's reminding us here that everything that we have been given comes from God. And as it's been given to us, then we get to steward it and we get to choose. But there's something, isn't it, in having a generous attitude. I used to love the times I've spent in the developing world with people who really have very little and not always enough to live on. And, you know, when an offering might come round and they would dance up to the front of the church and give just like the tiniest amount, but to them that was something. And they didn't give that because they had to. They gave that because they wanted to. And they gave it in joy because they knew that God was looking after them, that God was feeding them, that God was providing for them. So it was like, it didn't matter that it was a tiny amount. And also it didn't matter that, you know, they were in a place of, oh, I need this, but actually they knew there was a blessing in giving it and that God was the one that supplied the seed. Now, as we say this, we're not talking about the prosperity gospel. You know, you give everything and God will give me a Mercedes or that dream holiday or that massive house. We're not doing it because if we give, then we're wanting something back. We're giving out of an attitude of it's our joy and our heart posture to see either, you know, the poor fed, the kingdom prospered as we give back to God what is his. And oftentimes in that he blesses. You know, I lived as a faith missionary for years, and that means that I wasn't salaried, but I lived relying on God, and God not only always provided what I needed, but always more. But before then, he'd taken me into this practice of learning to, you know, as I give, that he would make things right. It didn't mean that as I give, he would just multiply exactly what I wanted back, but he would take care of me. He's a good, good father. And so we get to be generous with all we have, whether that is our money, our time, but knowing that what we have as we give it, there is a blessing. And he always ritually rewards us in many different ways and provides our needs. So as we're in this season of thinking about generosity, let's think today, what does that really look like? And what we've decided that we want to give, whether it's our things, our time, our money, then let's do that with a cheerful heart rather than obligation.